everybody, and welcome back to the Triforce podcast with me, Lewis. Also, here is Sips from Jersey, and Ted.
Good afternoon.
Tedwood, Pyrion, Alphage, Heath.
Poor Ted.
Good afternoon.
Poor Ted.
Sorry. So how are you guys doing this week? You been up to anything fun? You had a nice time? You done anything enjoyable? Or if you just is it just zip by like all time and life? You know, suddenly. So did you ever blink and think, "Damn, time has"? Sorry, I haven't turned my phone off. Obviously.
Do you ever blink and think, my dink is pink?
Do you ever?
I wink.
Do you ever think like
And
like,
stink.
I have these moments, okay, where I'm like, man, time has gone by.
Yeah.
Occasionally, just you're excited for something, you're like, oh, I'm looking forward to this holiday, looking forward to this thing, and then it's over, like a flash. Like life flickers by fast sometimes. And
does,
sometimes,
yeah.
do you ever stop to think about that? How fast time goes by? I don't know. I'm just like, I'm gonna blink and I'll be an old man. I think tomorrow.
It does
Yeah,
go very
it's-
quickly. It's true.
There's an old saying that goes, life's a bitch and then you die.
Yep.
That's why we get high, because you never know when you're going to go. That's it's an ancient proverb from
It is.
Queensbridge.
Yeah. It was written on parchment and passed down
That's exactly it, yeah. So,
from the ancient ones.
yeah, I think my brain pretty much like every second of every day at some level is thinking, holy crap, yeah, time is passing.
I wouldn't change anything. I mean, the thing is, time passes faster when you're busy and also when you're enjoying yourself.
True.
When you're not having the perception of time, like if you're bored and there's nothing, or you're waiting for something,
Yeah.
an hour can stretch on forever.
Oh,
Whereas
yeah.
you load up RimWorld and suddenly like 4 days of your life have like vanished down a hole, and you're like,
And
Yeah.
RimWorld never
Oh my
did
God.
that. RimWorld never did that for me. I don't know why.
You're not exactly happy at the end of it either because of all the fucking bullshit that game throws at you too. But that's another.
It's a trial,
Subject.
but it's I don't know, like there's a certain happiness in getting things done, especially if you like finish it or something like that. You know, it's like
Yeah.
I don't think you get the same satisfaction from those kind of open-ended games as you do from putting down, like closing the last page of a book and
Yeah.
putting it up there and being like, yeah.
Well,
yeah,
I
that's
think
true.
if it's done well, like in Witcher 3, I think it was done perfectly because it felt like an open world game, but there was a plot, like a definite plot to follow.
Yeah.
That was itself a really exciting and a good story, and it was unexpected, and there was crazy stuff and weird stuff and funny bits, and it was like, to me, Witcher 3 was the best role-playing game ever made for the PC. Like it blew me away. And I finished it a couple of months ago because I sort of started playing it, stopped, went away, came back, and I got back into other games, and then I picked it up again and I'd forgotten how to play. So I had to start it all over again from scratch. And I played it all the way through, and it was incredible. It was absolutely incredible.
It's good. It's a really good one.
I think that's what RimWorld, not RimWorld, sorry, Skyrim lacked.
I think that's what RimWorld should be more like.
It should
really.
be an open world fantasy game.
Should just be
obviously.
better.
But Skyrim lacked that. I mean, it's like, oh, you make your own story, but most of the time you're walking around in a village looking at a tiger who's saying, you know, stupid stuff to you. It just kind of,
Yeah.
it lacked coherence to me. And it was like, oh, there's a dragon over there. I mean, that's in Witcher. You're like, oh shit, there's a monster over there. I'm going to go fight it. Whereas in Skyrim, it was like, I'm just going to mosey around and maybe I'll find a cave and go down there and get owned by vampires or something.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I really enjoyed all these games, but I feel like The Witcher did suffer a bit from that Skyrim thing of you have to save the world. The world is in peril. And by the way, if you want, you could wander around for 22 weeks, just pissing about, just doing anything, helping out a gran.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
digging
they
a
would
hole.
say they're closing in on the tower, and you're like, let me just gather these herbs real quick.
And it's like, okay. I mean, I always thought that sort of sucked a bit of the story joy of out of those types of games. Then again, I do prefer the ones that let me set my own pace. I don't know. Gaming it's really interesting. It's a bit of something for everyone, and I encourage you to just try everything until you find what makes you happy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used to get a lot of pleasure out of finishing games. I think back in the day. And more recently, you know, I was talking about Wolfenstein and Doom.
Yeah,
Those experiences
Doom.
were very, very good.
Doom, yeah.
You know, you played through the whole thing, and there wasn't too much side action going on, not too overwhelming. Because I sometimes think it's like there's too many choices. Sometimes, if you're arguing with your significant other about where to get food, if you give her 2 choices, right, then it's much easier for her to pick. Whereas if you give her 15, it's like, yeah, you're overwhelmed with choice and you can't decide at all.
Yeah.
It's like as a vegetarian, I find it very easy to order from menus now because there's only 2 choices. So I'm like, oh,
Baked
I'll
potato
have,
or chips.
I will have. I guess I'm having one of these 2, so I'll have that one.
Have you ever
And
had
it's like-
chips with mashed potato on the side?
well, I'm not talking about you at a steak restaurant. Sips, like, you know, going to Morton's and go with you as a vegetarian.
Yeah.
Them looking at you like down their nose, like
Yeah,
some
they're surprisingly
Victorian school teacher.
I know they're surprisingly accommodating though. Funny how that works. Like they still want to.
They want you
money.
to eat up and get the fuck
Yeah.
out before you ruin
Yeah.
their reputation. So
Yeah.
We're gonna bring you the mashed potato with bacon bits. You're just gonna have to suck those and spit them out.
Morton's was it's not it's like I like going because like the people that I'm with always like really want to go and stuff, and it's fun. Like the food like is, you know, what I can eat there is really nice, and like all the steaks and stuff look pretty good and stuff too. But like I'm surprised every time I'm in America, like just how much bacon they put on like everything.
Oh, God.
Like everything just comes with bacon by default.
Yeah, it's crazy.
they really love
And
bacon.
it's not really real either, is it? Because I've seen, like, I saw how it's made. It's kind of made incredibly artificially. You know, they actually like, it's almost like with a giant printer. They basically just get this big load of pink ink and a big load of white ink, and they just literally kind of splodge it out onto this thing, and they slice it up. It
tastes as good as it
incredibly.
sounds.
Tastes, boy, is that ever appetizing! Wow.
Yeah, but I mean, at least English bacon is kind of, you know, slices of that resemble something.
At least
off
that's
of
a living thing that was murdered and then turned into bacon. I mean,
I suppose American bacon might well be vegetarian. A lot of these things are like chicken pot noodles are vegan. I think actually
it's just powder, isn't it? It's just onion
They're
powder.
entirely
Yeah.
chemicals and
Flavorings
flavoring
and stuff. Yeah.
By the way, there's been a tweet directed to us at the Triforce podcast from Laura, who says, "I'm the girl that Lewis met at the traffic lights. I do love the Triforce podcast as well." So,
Holy
Oh my
crap.
gosh.
yeah.
Laura. Wow,
go.
there you go.
Shout
Lucy
out
didn't
to
even
Laura.
ask her what her name is.
Yeah, I didn't even ask her what her name was. You know, I'm that kind of guy. Just love them and leave them.
She said it. According to her Twitter profile, she's a crazy feminist, award-winning writer.
I mean, she's
and a cat lady.
she's an award-winning writer.
Crazy feminist and a crazy cat lady.
She loves
that's
tea.
That's the
She
perfect
whines
combo.
about job hunting and she pines over her cat as well.
Oh,
Cool.
Well, I'm terribly allergic to cats. I've learned this mistake.
Well,
you
that's
know.
not going to happen then.
Yeah, it's kind of a deal breaker. I mean, that was why me and Hannah broke up. It was like, you know, she wanted cats. I didn't want cats. Well, I couldn't have cats.
Right.
I was infertile for cats. I guess I was unable to conceive cats.
All
Well,
right,
you
talking of conceiving, right? I got a question for you. I've got a bird table in my garden now. I think I mentioned it previously, and
Nice.
the birds are all over it. Right? They love it. The first one's out there when we put it out with a robin. Brave Mr. Robin came flying out like a shot because I put mealworms out there and they love
Boldly
them.
brave Sir Robin.
Yeah, he just came flying out. He was like, "Yeah, bird table, whoa!" And now over the couple of months that we've had it, other birds have seen this brave robin like leading the charge to the bird table. Now they all turning up. We've had all sorts.
Is it like a cheese board then?
Yeah,
kind of?
it's got seeds and a large selection of seeds on one side. 10
they in
10
little
different
bowls?
varieties. No, they're just a selection.
Right.
It's like it looks like
What
a
do you mean a
gazebo.
selection?
I mean, there's a whole bunch of different kinds of
Do
seeds.
they try to dump the seeds out on the ground so that
No,
all the
no.
birds can get it? Because I've seen that happen.
No.
That's-
So hang on, is it got like a tube feeder or
No,
something?
no. Like,
Why don't you just describe this
I
bird
would love
table
to
me?
explain it to you. All right, let me describe the fucking bird table, lads. I'm in the middle of describing it, and you're asking me
Is
questions
it-
about what it
is
looks
it
like.
made of-
We're
I'm trying to
interested.
tell you.
Is it made of stone?
No, it's
Okay.
made of. It's a wooden table on a long sort of leg, if you like. So it looks like a hat stand, but instead of one of the the curly thing for hanging hats and coats on at the top, it's like a little house, like a little gazebo house that's open on all sides with a little
Right.
roof.
Yeah, I know.
And
Okay.
it's got a
nice.
platform under the roof that where you it's about the size of a bowl, a large bowl. So imagine a large mixing bowl. That's the sort of circumference, okay? So
Okay.
and
Did you get this?
I got it in a garden centre.
Okay, good.
Squire's Garden Centre. Shout out to Squire.
How much was it?
Nice.
I don't know, 60 quid or something like that.
Is it painted?
Yeah, it's fully finished and
Does
everything.
it have like decking stain on it so that it doesn't go?
Yes, it's
gray
treated
and
for
shit?
weather, right? So
Good.
on one half of the table I
What
put
that
seeds.
question? How have you attached it to the ground?
It's on a stand. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
It's
it comes on. It's like imagine a
It's
hat
got
rack
legs.
or a coat
Yeah,
rack.
that's
Oh,
what,
I
that's
see.
what
It's got legs.
exactly what it. Am I fucking?
What it's-
Can you guys hear me? Test.
But it's a single post. I didn't realise you got all this for 60
literally
quid.
said
This
it's
is a
like
steal.
I said to you, it's like a coat stand or a hat stand, and you
It
were
sounds
like
like
nothing.
something that Jacob Rees-Mogg would get for his fucking tiniest
Yeah,
child.
I
tell
get
you
it,
what-
man. I was looking at those, but like,
Yes, bilious. Go out and live in the garden.
Well, you know what? We
what-
Soldiers don't live in a fucking basement, mate. That's what the problem is here. You
Yeah,
haven't got a
mate.
garden or the outdoors. You
I
live
have.
underground like a mole man.
It's
Yeah.
a garden flat. It's a basement garden flat. It's got a garden. I've got a garden.
yeah, why don't you get a fucking hat stand bird bath
Anyway,
thing as
can,
well?
can we go back to my question? It's an important question.
What's your question?
So, I saw a robin on the table, like as usual, he's out there. And along comes Mr. Blue Tit, right? And they're hanging out and they don't seem to mind each other. And I'm thinking, how come robins and blue tits don't have like half robin, half blue tit kids? Why don't they get it on? How are they so into their own particular species of bird that you never get a crossbreed? Where's the half pigeon, half magpie? Where is it? Where's the pig pie?
I see what you mean.
You know what
Where's
I'm saying?
the mongrel?
Where's
Yeah.
the pig pie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the half crow?
Because there's always
half
mongrel dogs all over the
something
place.
else. Yeah. But dogs all came from one species, so I guess they're just able to identify another dog. But you've got all these different species of bird that are the same size and roughly pretty much the same damn bird, but they're not getting it on with each other. Why not? What's stopping them? Would it be possible is my question. And if so, how come it doesn't happen very much? Because you'd think if you're stuck, I mean, look at the palaver you got to go through as a male bird to get a female bird interested, right? You'd think at that point they wouldn't be too fussy. They'd just be like, any female bird that shows any lick of interest, I'm all over that and we're making some eggs.
Do they tweet? Do they sing to each other? Is that how they do it? Like
They do,
is that how
yeah. They
right. And the best
Like
singer
that.
gets all the
I think
pussy.
maybe the women are very, very picky. That might be it.
What? And they're like, I'm not sleeping with no blue tit. I mean, are birds racist? Is the question I'm
I
asking.
believe so. I'm gonna.
bush tit.
Blue tit.
I think they
bush
are
tit.
racist. Actually, yeah.
Why are you calling it a bush tit?
I don't know.
It sounds funny. So
Bush tit.
It sounds funnier than blue tit.
bush tit.
Or great tit. I think all of them. sound-
Great
A
tit.
great tit is as good as it gets. Honestly.
A big
Yeah.
tit. Mm.
So are you just? I mean, let me just paint this picture here. So
Right.
you wake up in the morning. There's a little bit of bird song.
Yeah.
You stride out of you rise out of your bed. Fully erect and nude.
Yeah.
And you walk over to the window, you pull the curtains aside, and you hold up your cup of tea, and you sip it, and you look out at the birds frolicking, enjoying their mealworms on the
It's
on
not.
the
That's
new
not far off
bird
the way it is.
table.
It's true.
And you open your window a little crack, and you sniff the morning air, and you're like, life is good.
That's
is that
not
the average
far
morning?
off my morning. Yeah.
Yeah,
I wake up. If the kids are still asleep, I'll go downstairs. I've got one of those old-fashioned kettles you have to put on the hob because it makes a pleasing whistling sound and it feels a bit more.
you haven't.
Yeah, it feels,
Oh
it feels
my
a
gosh.
bit more dadsy, you know. So I
Yeah,
put
it
that
does,
on there.
doesn't it? And that wakes everyone up with the little whistle.
Yeah, little whistle.
It's like a little. It's a nice, comforting sound, isn't it?
So I open the. We've got like those. Yeah, exactly.
have one of those.
But charming.
it's like an air raid
Not just
siren.
like that. It's a pleasing sound. Okay.
You make the Mickey Mouse pancakes.
No, God no.
Yeah.
Mrs. F makes the pancakes. I'm rubbish at it. She's really good. So and then
Hey kids,
we've
come
got
and
like
get
one
your
of those.
pancakes! Yay, Daddy!
I'll
and then
give
everyone
up.
runs downstairs. Oh, it's heaven! I imagine it just as this track. Oh, have you seen my slippers, young lady? Oh yes, Daddy. Let me fetch them for you. Oh, look, the morning newspaper's arrived. Hello, postman. Hello, young child. Oh, look what's in the newspaper today. It's like, oh God, you sit down outside, you put your feet up. Oh, it's heaven. It's heaven.
This is my life. You know, I mean, you think you're joking, but this is literally what it is.
Nice.
Oh my gosh, it's wonderful. It's a wonderful dream. It's everyone's Everyone's dream.
Yeah.
Did you? I mean, what was it like when you were a kid, though? Did you have these like this warm family kind of environment of things like that whistling kettle that woke you up in the morning? Do you know what I mean? Do you have any of this stuff?
No, not really. I mean,
I remember my dad had to wake me up very early to go to school every day, and he was very good at it. You know, I had to go because I went to school in Chelmsford, which was about an hour's or hour and a half's journey from where I lived every morning. And you had to be there for 8:45 or 8:30 every morning. So that meant I was up at like 6 in the morning every day. And
what the hell did you do on your commute and in that day and age? Like, that must have been really boring.
Honestly, it was hell. 7 years of like an hour and a half to school every morning was hell. I vowed never to get a bus anywhere ever again after that 7 years. And I have not stuck to that. I get buses all the time. I like buses though. I guess like 7 years of an hour and a half and back every day on a bus has
I think the bus
into,
problem has been solved though, thanks to phones and iPads and stuff like that. Like, I think
that's true.
If you have
you
an hour and a half
4G,
commute, whatever, just
read your book.
Just catch up on some Netflix or whatever.
It really wasn't too bad. I did a lot of homework on the bus, which was actually totally sounds like it's bad, but it was such a long bus ride that
you didn't have to do it the night before. I mean, why not do it?
Yeah,
I mean, I did mine on the way in because I'd forgotten it, and inevitably someone would say, "Did you do the geography homework?" And I'd say, "What geography homework?" And they'd say, "This one, you idiot." I'd quickly do it. I had like half an hour, so it sucked.
Yeah,
I was bad at school. I hated it. I hated the homework. I hated all of it.
School.
I'd have this routine because I'm still the same today, and I'm sure a lot of people are like this. Where you you have multiple alarms to wake yourself up, right? So you wake up and you're like, oh. Okay, I'm kind of awake, but my alarm's gonna go off in half an hour, so I'll sort of doze for half an hour and do that. So when I was a kid, it was sort of the other way around. So I would wake up in the freezing cold. My room, for some reason, my room was like freezing cold. So I'd get up, put a dressing gown and slippers on, and I'd go into like this soft chair like near the kitchen.
Yeah.
While my dad, I don't know, cooked something like made some porridge or something and potted around. So I would wake myself up over the course of about 20 minutes lying there in the kitchen, freezing cold. And then, he would send me off about, quarter to 7 or something. Man, that was a hell of a
I used to walk to
time.
school with like a couple of friends, and my alarm clock was literally the doorbell when my friends would turn up and be like, "Hey, you ready?" Yeah, just give me like 1 minute. And then I would just like quickly get dressed and like grab my stuff and brush my teeth.
That was when
on
you
the
were
way
a bit
to school
older, though.
and stuff.
Must be right.
Yeah,
when
I was really little, like I was like my mom would wake me up and I'd be ready to go and stuff. But yeah, like when I was older.
I mean, this was the sort of the time I remember is between, I don't know, for like when I started secondary school through to like, a couple of years, like when I was like 11 through like 13 or whatever.
I think school's weird though, because I think school's really important when you're really, really young, but it's less important, I think, when you hit like around sort of like 10 years old.
35, you think it's less important?
When you're like when you're between the ages of like 10 and say 16, I don't think school is like at all important at that point. Like I think it's just because there's nowhere else for you to be, so you like have to go to school so somebody can keep an eye on you, sort of thing. But like I don't know, like I'm pretty sure from the age of 10 to 16, like I didn't learn shit at school. Like I didn't do
I feel like you probably learned a lot of shit, but it wasn't really applicable for anything. At a certain point, you're learning stuff that you're never going to use.
Yeah.
I mean, I learned Latin and, all of this biology and physics stuff that I actually never ended up using, even though I did a degree in chemistry. I learned a whole bunch of... a lot of the stuff, the way I always described it, though, was you show the capacity for learning. That's what exams are. It's almost like this incredibly tedious test.
Yeah, they teach you how to learn and how to be resourceful and how to find stuff out and stuff. I get that. But I think that, like, really, it's just kind of like, I'm not saying that, like, a 10 to 16-year-old needs a babysitter, but it is just kind of glorified babysitting, isn't it? Because it's like, where else is a 10 to 16-year-old person going to go on a daily basis all day? Like, they can't really go to a job.
Yeah.
So like you know, and you don't want them just hanging out at the mall all day either, because that's kind of weird. So, like, you might as well go to school and socialize with people.
If I would have had my own choice, I would have never left my room. I would have just played video games all day, every day, like I did on the summer holidays.
Yeah,
anyway.
pretty much, yeah. But
and I think school is a pretty good thing to get you socialized and
like, you know, like a lot of parents work and stuff, and they'd worry about you if you were just home all day in your room playing it. Like, you know, you probably wouldn't really feed or water yourself, and then they'd come home and they'd have like a 10-year-old who died of like a heart attack because he doesn't sleep or eat or anything, sort of thing. And that's why school exists, is the TLDR on that one.
So yeah, I mean, I have these sort of cozy, I guess, memories associated with being a kid, and I wonder a little bit what your kids are gonna have as their cozy memories associated. But I think that sort of whistling cat, that routine of that comfortable, safe, cozy. It's a nice thing, right? It's a nice thing to have.
It is. There's so much comfort in my kids' lives compared to when I was a kid. Like, when I think about my eldest daughter, she's like 8.5. At that point, my parents had just got divorced. Like, so I'd moved to the UK, and everything was really miserable, and we didn't know what was going to happen. And when I started secondary school, so I was like, when I was about 11 or 12 and everything, you know, the flat that we were living in, we didn't have central heat and we didn't have double glazing. And all we had were these gas fires that you had to hold down a button and fire them up like old school, like click, 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 and this thing would come on, and a tiny amount of heat would emit from this thing. And see, we wake up in the morning, it'd be freezing cold, like absolutely freezing cold in the house. There'd be frost on like the inside of the windows. It was that fucking cold in the house. And I'd have to get up at about 6:30 in the morning to get into school for 8:20, because it was similarly a very long way to school. It was like a 2-bus journey and all the rest of it. And I'd go into the living room, my mum would bring me some breakfast, and all there was on television in those days was Laurel and Hardy, Harold Lloyd, or The Three Stooges on BBC Two from like 6:30 till 7. That was my TV. So I watched these ancient like slapstick comedies for like half an hour, glumly eating my breakfast. And then because my clothes would be so cold, I would warm them in front of the fire and then put them on as fast as I could to try and warm up, and then go and get the bus.
It's like some Victorian.
Bearing in mind, this is the fucking 80s, not the 1920s. That fucking England in a nutshell for you. What the fuck?
It was so bad, and
I don't know. It's character building.
No,
though,
it was like dark. I'm going to school. There was no one on the bus with me because my best friend, by the way, I'll tell you more about him in a sec.
I'm sure a lot of people still have this, except for now they're watching Everybody Loves Raymond in the morning. Do you know what I mean? It's probably exactly the same for a lot of our...
I don't remember ever being cold when I was a kid, and I grew up in a fucking country and in a region of the world where it was like -40 for 6 months of the year, and I was never cold. So what the fuck, England? Get your shit together. I
think that we're just not very good at dealing with it, though. You know, you are very aware. It's like where you live. If you live somewhere that snows all the time, you are completely adept at dealing with that. That is totally a normal thing. Whereas the 1 or 2 days that it snows in the UK, the whole place just shuts down.
Yeah, we don't know what to do.
No, and so it's the same thing with cold.
We literally don't know what to do
because the climate's usually so mild. We don't have air conditioning anywhere. It's just not a thing, you know. Whereas I guess in Canada, it just feels like it's built around that. Certainly when I went to Vancouver, you know, it felt like. Sometimes it felt like I was at a ski resort in a way, because you'd walk into places and you'd realize, oh, okay, this place is built with in mind that people are going to come trudging in here with the massive freezing snow jackets and covered in, you know, welly boots kind of thing. You know, it felt like a lot more like that, but prepared for it and to deal with it. It was interesting. I mean, we've not had a hard time, you know. But also I think some of these memories are good in a way. P-Flax, you know, like huddling up around the TV and heading off early when it's dark. I mean, it's exciting for a kid to be able to do that stuff, I think, and fun.
Are you fucking nuts, homie?
What?
Yeah,
are you fucking nuts?
Crazy.
I went into school. It was dark on my way into school. I was the only person on the bus. It was depressing. It was really depressing. I was cold and hungry and fed up before I got to school. Oh, it's character building.
Where are you from?
It's
so built.
I mean, I don't know. I think there's a lot of people who are exactly the same position today. You know,
Yeah, and it's
obviously,
not good. It's character. You sound like
sticks.
a Tory. You sound like fucking Rees Mogg.
What do you mean? No, I
I
don't.
believe it's character building for these poor people to endure and feel shitty.
I had
think
to
it's
do this as
think
well,
Of the stories.
P-Flax.
Think of the
I
stories
wasn't
they'll
driven
have.
to school in some sort of golden carriage on a horse.
I know, but the point is,
quickly, Cormoran, bring round the carriage for young Brindley. Oh, has you got his foot warmers today? Make sure his tootsies don't get cold. It wasn't any of that. It was the same shit I had.
Right, but and do you think it was cool? Or do you look back now on it fondly because you don't live that way now? Imagine if you'd lived like that all your life and you were like, fuck me, life is horrible.
Let's put it this way. I wouldn't change it. You know, I think it's formed a part of who I am, and the memories are positive in general. They're not negative, really.
Yeah.
It's okay. When you're a kid also, you get used to it as well, or anything. You know, people get used to stuff.
Yeah.
This is all
very
justifications for keeping people poor. You know that. These are the same arguments.
Yeah.
They're used to it. They don't mind it that way. That's just how they live.
Whoa. That's not what I'm implying.
I'm saying
not implying
I'm not saying you're saying that, but I'm saying the arguments you're making are very reminiscent of people who think poor people are just that way.
Whoa.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, I mean, the
Very
thing is that
reminiscent.
I'm not really talking about that. I'm talking about someone who chooses to live out in the sticks, right? In an old whistling barn house or whatever. And they're not poor, you know.
Right,
I mean,
but that's someone who's put themselves in that situation. That's someone who
You
said,
weren't poor.
I want to... Yes, we were fucking poor. We were really
Were you?
poor. Yes,
what
that's
you
why
your
it was
breakfast
so shitty.
was like, you know, you like. So what are you sort of round in like in an old blanket, a dirty old blanket, eating like your breakfast, which is a tin of beans cooked on a fucking roaring
you want me to
fire?
be like Charlie Chaplin poor?
A fucking
like,
fire in a holy barrel, like out in an alley.
like one of those braziers. Me and the other tramps would wake me up. Schoolboy. And I had to pick pockets on my way in and out of school.
Well, that's the
What have
picture
you
you're
got today,
painting.
boy? Oh, I stole some silver from the school dinner room, master. Oh, good, give it here. We'll buy some drugs with it. That's what we do.
My like childhood was like fucking Fargo. Like in the morning we'd have to walk to school. It was like a 15-minute walk, and if it was winter, you just have to like put on a lot of layers, and we'd had face warmers and scarves and like toques and gloves and whatever. And I'd get to school after walking for like 15 minutes, and I'm not even joking. Like there would be little balls of ice at the end of each and every one of my eyelashes. Like it was that cold.
Wow.
And then you turn up, and you know it was just like the usual. Like your teacher would be like, "Cold out, eh?" Yeah, sure is.
You said you were never cold a second ago.
No,
now
but I wasn't. We had everything. We had like
I
good
see. You were
heating.
fully prepared for
We had
it.
all the clothes that we needed and stuff. Like I was never actually like freezing cold, but it was just like still kind of shitty. And I don't think my character like is all built up like off the back of that. It was just a really shitty experience, and I'm glad I don't have to ever do it again.
Well, I don't know. Right, maybe that's a thing then. Maybe. I mean, I get it. It would have been nicer to have the school next door and just to wake up roll out of bed at 8:15, pull some clothes on, and then in the nice hot weather.
Yeah.
Oh, and eat a banana on the way, and pick a fresh fucking orange off the bush as you walk in. Do you know what I mean?
Sniff a tulip on your way in and contemplate a little bit and stuff. Be nice.
But obviously that's not what I had, and it's still. But I wouldn't change it. That's all. I thought it was. You can find joy in all of these hardships.
Such a lunatic.
P-Flax.
You're such a
What?
lunatic.
What do you
It
mean?
was horrible. My childhood was very miserable. We were very poor and unhappy, and it was not cool. And I do not consider it character forming at all. And I want my kids to be comfortable and not have to have a shitty life. So I
You're
just cannot
coddling them,
believe it.
P-Flax. They're going to be soft. They're not going to be hardened by the rough edges of reality. They're going to be infantilized for the Western.
They're children. They're children. They're meant to be infantilized. They are children. They are 8 and 5. They are meant to be infantilized at that age.
Of course.
I was talking
only
about
messing with
the
you.
adult. I know. Anyway, my point is, kids are still very able to endure. And for example, our kids were having trouble sleeping, and eventually we figured out what it was, because one of them said to us, they came upstairs, I was away, and sometimes when I'm away, they both sleep upstairs with Mrs. F because they know they can get away with it when I'm not there. And so they're all sleeping in Mrs. F's bed, and in our bed, I should say, and they said, wow, your bed's so comfortable, not like ours at all. And my wife goes, what do you mean? Your beds are fine. And she goes downstairs and lies on the mattress. And it's like a really awful, because they've had them for a few years and they've just worn them down. So it was like sleeping on the bare rafters of the bed. My wife felt so guilty. She's like, oh my God, why didn't you say anything? And they were just like, well, we just thought, this is the mattresses that you got us. They just didn't think to complain. So you're like, oh, my God, so we felt awful. Rushed out.
You got like hunchback kids. They're all crippled.
Oh, it was so bad. But they didn't even think
sleep in years.
Yeah, they didn't think to complain.
My back's all crooked.
Daddy,
I'm all hunched over.
My legs, Daddy, I can't feel them. Yeah, it was bad. But then we got them the new mattresses, and they were like, oh, these are so great. They were so happy. And now they sleep in. We have to wake them up in the mornings, it's great. But they didn't complain. So I think
maybe you need
kids
to
will
get them
just
slightly less comfortable ones so they actually wake up.
Well,
you have to find the balance between not too comfortable ones.
So I think if I put a pea under the mattress, perhaps my two princesses will. Oh, Father, I couldn't sleep a wink with that pea under the mattress.
Before that, it was like, please don't send me to bed, Daddy, not with all the rats and the mold in the mattress. Oh, it makes it so hard to breathe. I'm suffering from the fungus lung. Oh, my back is so crooked. So
Popcorn
crooked.
lung would be more likely.
I wish I could hear the birds in the morning, but over the sound of the rats chewing away at the mattress.
Oh God, I found a dead mouse under my freezer the other day. Did I tell you about this?
Under your freezer?
Did I mention this last week?
I think I heard it at some point. You told me this.
Mrs. F was working from home, and she said, "God, there's such a bad smell down here. You've got to do something about it. It must be the freezer." Pulled the freezer out, and I was like, "There's nothing back here." And the freezer was a little whiffy, like it's an old, it's like an 8-year-old freezer. It's a slight smell of like not chemicals, but some machinery. That kind of machinery smells, and it's making a thing. So I'm thinking maybe she can just smell like the freezer doing its thing. So I push it back in, and a dead mouse falls out from under the freezer. Must have been hidden up under the freezer. Falls out, maggots on it and everything. And she was like, like this. And I was like,
God,
don't worry about
it. Fuck me.
But the cat must have brought it in, and then it must have scurried under the freezer. And the cat was like, well, I can't fucking catch it now, and just wandered off, leaving this poor thing to die under the freezer. Yeah. But it was grim, man. It was really grim.
That's gross. That's really.
So what did you do? Just get a plastic bag, kind of cover it up, scoop it up, and
just
chuck
scraped
it in the
off the maggots and chucked it in the frying pan, and we had mouse surprise dinner.
Well, we don't get much treats. Let's not look a gift horse in the mouth.
When I was a kid, we would have seen this as a treasure trove of food.
Protein.
No,
I would have killed someone for a maggot-infested mouse corpse. You tell me.
With free maggot sauce on top. Oh,
haven't eaten in years.
You kids are too darn spoiled.
I'm gonna skin that mouse and wear it like a sock to replace my 10-year-old one.
Open the windows and let all the heat out. It's too darn comfortable in here. Get it nice and cold and frosty.
I'm gonna have to dry and cure this skin myself by pissing on it and hanging it out over the fireplace. It's gonna stick out the place for a couple of weeks, but it'll be worth it. Jesus Christ.
Well, listen to this master stroke, my fellows. When my son, when my wife was pregnant with the baby, my son had like this like sort of novelty toddler bed. It was really low to the ground and stuff. Really shitty mattress. You could like take it apart and put it back together again. It was shaped like a car and stuff, and that was cool. He liked it, sort of thing. But like he got too big for it, and it was uncomfortable. And we found same thing as your kids, Flax. He was just like in our bed every night, pretty much.
Yeah.
And we couldn't figure out why. We thought he was having bad dreams or something like that. And then it turns out that actually his bed was just really uncomfortable, and he didn't really like it that much. So we're like, all right, fuck it. We're not going to just get him another like novelty bed or whatever. Let's get him like a full size single bed, like a proper single bed with like a, like with a box frame and like a good mattress and everything. And then we have it in case, he does want to like, sleep in our bed or whatever, one of us can sleep in that bed because it'll just be like a comfy single bed, right? And like with the baby coming, maybe somebody would want to sleep in that if the baby's up all night.
Oh my God, I've got an idea where this story's going now.
So we had it all planned out, and I'm telling you, it's been fucking great because every once in a while, like when shit kicks off in the middle of the night, and then you find that your bed is filled with children or whatever, I just sneak away and go sleep in his bed instead. And then sometimes when I'm in his room, I feel like I'm fucking 7 years old again because like he's got all these cool toys in his room and he's got like airplanes hanging from the ceiling and stuff. And his
long story
bed
short,
is like really comfy and stuff. And I'm like,
Sips is now sleeping in his kid's room.
I'm like
permanently.
fucking old and sweaty and I stink and stuff. And I'm sleeping in his bed. It's hilarious. It's nice though. It works out pretty well actually.
Oh my God, that's great.
Yeah.
That's really funny. And then your wife comes in and wakes you up in the morning. Time for school, honey. And so you're like, oh, I don't want to go to school today, Mom.
My daughter's doing this thing now where she like every morning she wakes me up, but she like it's like she's like making offerings or something. So like I'm sort of like half being woken up and not paying attention because I'm still asleep, and then she'll like the other day she was like stroking my eyebrows, okay? And that woke me up. And I woke up and I was just surrounded by toys. Like she just put toys all around me, like on my bed. Like, what's going on?
God.
Like, I didn't know what was going on. But then, there was like toys everywhere. I had like a miniature.
That's really creepy.
I had a miniature Thomas the Tank Engine toy like lodged in my ass crack. Like I rolled over onto it and I didn't realize. Like that's how surrounded by toys I was.
Is that what you told them at the hospital as well?
Yeah. It's like it wasn't a sex thing. I promise. I don't have a thing for Gordon the Blue Engine.
Mr. Lovitz, this is the third time this month that we found things out of your ass crack. Last time it was SpongeBob, and before that it was a Buzz Lightyear doll, and now Thomas the Tank Engine. It's strange that your kid keeps putting so many things in your bed, and they managed to find their way up your ass crack.
Yeah, God.
We're gonna just keep lubing you up and dealing with this.
Nurse, put him on a course of being fully lubricated at all times. I don't want lube levels to drop below 99% on this one. It's pretty important.
We want the blood lube ratio to be 1 to 7.
The blood lube ratio.
That's
So honestly, like, man, I think that is something out of a horror film, though, a little bit. Like, creepy child kind of doing weird stuff to you, making you a shrine. Did she have, like, a circle of candles around you or something as well?
No, it wasn't that elaborate, but there was quite a few toys piled up on my bed, and then she can't climb up the bed. She's still too small to climb up on top of the bed, so she'll just sit at the side of the bed if she wants to come up and go, up, up, up. Like I'm still sleeping and kind of ignoring her. Just up. It's just like it gets more desperate, and then eventually
you're having like a dream
fine.
about being in a hot air balloon and you haven't got enough height, and you're someone shouting up, and you're like, "Oh, I'm crashing!" And then that's what happens when someone says something to you. It goes into your dreams, doesn't it? And messes with them.
But then so then I lift her up onto the bed, and then she like instantly laughs and climbs off the bed, runs around to the side again, and goes up, like she thinks that like that's fun, just being picked up onto the bed just so she can jump off.
I suppose that's a nice way
again.
to wake up of a morning.
Well,
I don't know. Also, I think maybe that's a kind of a troll thing, though, right? Because when your friends used to fall asleep, you put balance things on their head.
That was the thing, right? At sleepovers, it's like, okay, somebody go get a bowl of warm water, and we're gonna put Johnny's hand in the water and he's gonna piss his pants. Like, does that even work? Did you guys ever have any success with that? Like,
I don't fuck with the sleeping. If someone's asleep, you let them sleep, for Christ's sake. I hate it when someone's fucking around.
Like, we had a couple of instances where, like, a guy had his head shaved in his sleep and his eyebrows shaved off in his sleep.
Oh, yeah.
And magic marker. Like,
or you put some toothpaste on their face and they smear it all over them.
Yeah, that kind of shit. But like I guess it's like maybe like one of those like urban myths or something that if you put a guy's hand in water, he'll piss his pants. But like we never got anyone to piss their pants like that.
No, we tried
not work.
it. We definitely tried it a couple of times. Well, loads of times.
Let's find out if it works.
Okay,
we're still trying it.
We're
still trying it today.
We're sleuthing.
One day we're gonna get it to work.
One day we're gonna force somebody.
They myth busted it.
Oh, did they?
It was busted. It is untrue.
Yeah, I figured. I mean, we definitely tried like a dozen times or so, and it didn't work.
These stupid urban myths. It's weird how these things perpetuate themselves as well, right?
Yeah.
Like the whole Michael Jackson removing his rib thing. to
What?
give himself a blowjob. Except for it wasn't him, was it? We've
No,
been
that
through
was
this before.
Marilyn Manson that did
Exactly.
I
Yeah,
thought it was
yeah.
Yuri Geller. I can imagine doing that. I don't know why.
that. He just bent his ribs with his mind, and then
I could just imagine it. I could just imagine if anyone's going to be doing it, Yuri Geller would be a guy who would do that.
man, wasn't Yuri Geller on like Celebrity Big Brother one year, and he was just fucking weird and creepy as you'd expect.
He
him
is
to
weird
be?
and creepy.
Yeah.
I remember he was on what show was he on? Might have been the Tonight Show. Like, he's been around for a fucking long time, Yuri Geller.
I know,
And
but his whole thing is that he knew Michael Jackson, and like that's all he has
and he
to
can
talk
bend
about.
spoons,
ever.
right? That's it.
Yeah.
And do you remember a guy called James Randi? Have you heard of this guy?
No.
Oh yeah. The Amazing Randy.
No. He. Well, I think he's a magician, but he's very
Yeah.
anti. Like
He
what's the word?
was a professional magician, and he's a debunker and
He's debunker. That's
yeah.
right. So he's like anti psychic powers, and
Anti-magic.
He's offered $100,000 to someone who can prove to him that it's possible. And he had a show where people would come on, and he would go on talk shows and debunk stuff. And I think he was on the show with Yuri Geller. And saying to him, all right, do your thing. And Yuri Geller was like, well, backing out of it and basically saying he couldn't do it, sort of thing. And there was a whole bunch in the 70s. This stuff was really big. And it was people like James Randi that sort of shot it down. But the weird thing to me is that he had this TV show where people could come on and try and prove that their stupid trick, which was clearly not real, worked. And it would have to be under these conditions that he would set. And they would still go on the show and try and do their stupid shit, even though it obviously isn't going to be possible because they can't set it up the way they have to have it set up. Like, there was this guy in the 70s, he was like a karate guy, apparently, although I don't know how good he was at karate. And he claimed he could turn the pages of a phone book with the power of his mind. Right? You can find this on the internet. There's all clips of it. But what he was actually doing... He was blowing, he'd figured out a way to blow an extremely concentrated stream of air to turn a page, and he would make it look like it was with his chi power, and he opened up all these karate schools where he'd teach you chi power and all this kind of crap, and he had like a really, really weird thin pencil mustache. He was a weird guy. So James Randi said, okay, I want you to do this, but I'm going to put these little styrofoam beads all over the paper, and I want you to see if you can do it without them moving in any way other than the page turning. So the page is there's all these styrofoam beads, and of course if he blows, he's going to blow the styrofoam everywhere. It's going to be super obvious what's happening. And they wanted to do it with like a screen in front of it, and he just couldn't do it. He said it was maybe the lights or the chi energy wasn't right and everything. It was just fascinating to me that there were all these people out there convinced that they could even do it with James Randi standing next to them, who's going to say, all right, you can do it. But, and he'd insert some other obstacle, and they'd be like, oh, no, I can't do it. And they rather than just say it's a fair cop, you got me, they would always try and claim it was
There would always be some excuse, wouldn't it? And it was, they were so adept at making these fraudsters are so adept at being caught and being challenged that they have an incredible selection of excuses for why on any given day the currents in the room aren't just, I'm not, the spirits aren't talking to me or something. Oh, it's
crazy. The way they cling to it is amazing.
Yeah, so that was this $1 million paranormal change. I watched, he's a really old man now. He's like 88, but he's been around for a long time. It's a big sort of debunker. And I guess he's sort of retired now. But I do remember watching a documentary with him quite a while ago. And yeah, he went, and I think they went into some churches where they were doing this, healing by or cold reading of people, and they basically, I think they found that this guy was like able to sort of this preacher was cold reading people about saying, oh yeah, I heard your uncle Sammy is poorly, and people were like, what? How do you know that? And it was all because he had this earpiece.
His wife, right? The amazing thing is, he got people to fill out those cards at the start when they came in. Write down on this card all the shit that's wrong with you and everyone else in your family, and then put it in this box with your name on it. And then she would read to him, all right, her name is Scylla. She's in row 4F, and her dad's got a bad toe. And he would know. And I'm thinking, wouldn't you put two and two together and think, hang on, I wrote that on my card that I was asked to do at the start of the show? Like, how are people so dense?
I know, but the thing is, those shows are pretty entertaining. Like, we saw one in Vegas, and like, you could spend hours trying to figure out like how he does it or whatever. But the actual show itself was pretty funny. Like, it was interesting and stuff. And
I think it's
worth
fine
it
if
on
it's
that
for
basis.
fun.
Yeah.
But if it's like actually, taking people's money on the belief that they'll get cured.
Oh
or
yeah,
whatever,
that's a bit.
But yeah,
different.
so his wife was telling. So because James Randi managed to tap into the frequency that they were using on their earpieces,
and listened in,
so he was able to hear all of the little instructions that she was whispering in his ear. Oh, it was so good.
I went to a live like a magic show, but rather than just be like the traditional like illusionist stuff, he was what they call themselves mentalists. So the same way that Darren Brown is like a mentalist. He does tricks with people's minds. He'll get them to guess a number, and he will have already written it down, all that kind of shit. And when we got there quite early, and there were these two balconies either side of the sort of audience. So you had the audience sat down there in front of the stage, and there were two balconies either side, and these two guys came in. They were both sat down the exact same time, and they sort of looked at each other very pointedly when they sat down across the balconies. And I thought, that's weird. I wonder if those guys are like plants that he's put in the audience to feed him information. And there was a bit later in the show where he blindfolds himself and he asks people in the audience to hold up an object without it making a noise, and he will guess the object. And I was watching really closely, and these guys were obviously feeding him the information. It kind of took it away a bit when I saw these two guys walking in alone. I mean, it's just so weird that they both happen to be on the same part of the balcony opposite each other. They arrive at the same time. They both look at each other, and then they both sit down. I was like, okay, these guys are in on the show. But he wasn't trying to make out like he was using magic tricks. He was like, these are all tricks. This is not some power of the mind shit. And Darren Brown's very like that as well. He's like, these are all just experiments that I can do, and it's all suggestion, and I like that. It's an incredible trick, and it's so skillful, and it requires so much patience.
Sipster mentioned this one we went to in Vegas, but we saw these things in Vegas, and when we were sat there watching this show, I was like, first of all, I was trying to figure it out, and always when you watch a magician, you're trying to figure it out. You're like, well, he must just be. First of all, you come to like. I think the magicians know this though, and they also build this into their act.
Of course.
In a sense, like you come up with a solution, say, like, oh, he must just be. This must just be a plant, right? Or he must just be giving this person the specific card that he wants to give them, so that and then the best magicians always debunk that in some way.
Yeah, they'll say, and I couldn't possibly have done so and so because when they go, now, sir, we've never met, have we? That's no good anymore because people are like, bullshit. You know each other. Like, come on. That's why you guys
this guy
high-fived.
we were watching. He picked these random people out of the audience and then, after the show, we were all walking out, and I watched these people quite closely. I was like, because I had like an idea that there was this old couple, and I thought they must be plants, right? And so I was like following them around a little bit afterwards, just like watching where they went, and they just went off and they sort of chatted away, and I was just overhearing their conversation, and they were totally
innocent.
I don't know whether they were totally innocent. They couldn't have possibly been plants, but it felt like that was the only way that it could have. Like some of these things that were done were so amazing and so clever.
Yeah,
I could not. They were not. They were 100% not plants.
I love that. I love magic like that.
Oh man, imagine you're like following them around and they're just like going about their business, like old couple. They're really innocent and stuff, and you're like, I'm just gonna eavesdrop a little bit and see like if I can pick up on whether or not they're plants or whatever. And like, he's like walking down looking at some slot machines with his wife, and his wife is like, really just soaking up the glitz of Vegas and everything, and you get into range and you're doing your eavesdrop, and all of a sudden he's just like, hey, so what do you want to have for dinner tonight? She's like, I'm not that hungry, like maybe just a salad or something. It's like, yeah, I could do for a salad. Hey, you want to try some anal later, maybe, like just for once? Yeah, sure, yeah. You want to get out like the turbo vibrator 5 million and fucking jam me right in my ass or something later? It's like, yeah.
I've already got the tank engine up there.
That's got to be the gold mine of eavesdropping, though, right? Like your perverted side, like would always want to hear like this kind of stuff, right? In an eavesdrop.
Well, it's like that time that Duncan saw that woman watching pornography of herself in the lobby of a hotel. It's like, that's the ultimate. I mean, that's the 1 in a billion. Like eavesdropping / eyeballing something, like walking past and watching a woman watching porn of herself. That is.
Why would you watch that in public though? That's so weird. Like,
because I think she wasn't expecting people to just
in a hotel lobby
catch her.
Yeah, I mean, you got to kind of expect that somebody might catch a glimpse.
I don't think she realized that it was like the area that you. I don't think she realized that you could see what she was watching from where she was sat though, because she was up against the wall, I think. But there was like a glass sort of panel thing behind her, and don't think she realized that it was like see through from the other side.
Also, you never know what's going to get people off. Like maybe she's into watching porn in public, and that's kind of exciting to her.
Yeah,
it's like, you never know, man. You never know.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
Oh yeah, she's watching that big, big ginger guy walk past, thinking, "Oh, he's seen my tits."
He saw him.
Yeah,
he saw it.
He saw me doing it. What's wrong with people? Fuck me.
People do get off on that stuff though. Like it's for real. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
People exhibitionists and stuff. Yeah, they love it.
I think Duncan's definitely the luckiest though for seeing that. Like
he definitely gets off.
That's unbelievable.
He is he gets off on doing it in public as well. You know.
Really?
Duncan.
All right.
He's a real exhibitionist.
That's good.
Likes to show off. Jeez, I don't know.
That's good to know.
Everyone's got their own little
I do
things,
think
haven't they?
it's weird when you talk to people that they've had a relationship with someone, subsequently broken up, and then have told everybody else what that person was like. And sometimes the stuff that you hear, you think like, really? That person? Like it's mind blowing. People completely change when it comes to sex, and I think it is definitely one of the, if not the weirdest thing that people are going to do in their lives. Like when I think about how to explain sex to my kids, we give kids a very straightforward view of what it's like. But what you really want to say is, look, you're going to meet some fucked up people who are into all kinds of crazy, crazy shit.
Yeah.
And they'll just be walking around like regular people, and you won't have any idea how fucking freaky they are when it comes to that. It's like it's just this weird part of people's lives. You can be 100% ordinary and average in every other way.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
he likes shoving pigeons up your ass, you know?
Yeah. I'm always skeptical when I hear this stuff, though, because I think a lot of people use this sort of stuff to appear to be more interesting than they actually are. Because, like, I think if you're just sort of like a boring average person, you're probably that way in the bedroom as well, more times than not, sort of thing. Like, I think, there's probably a couple of people who are shoving pigeons up their ass or whatever, and that's fine, I guess, to some extent or whatever. But like on average, you know, like when people are like really laying it on, like trying to like almost shock you with like how sexual they are in private with their dildos and stuff like that, I'm like, come on, like who are you trying to kid here? You're fucking 40 years old. You're like a boring ass mom who nobody cares anyway, and you're not even doing that. You're just lying to like appear to be somewhat interesting when you're not. Like, I'm always skeptical about that shit.
Yeah, I sometimes people do just volunteer this information to you. Like, I was talking to this guy, and he was like, "Oh, my girlfriend, she fucking loves eye contact, like permanent eye contact, like never like, eye contact throughout, like all the time."
Right.
And I know this person as well, and I'm like, it's changed the way I look at her now a little bit.
Yeah, but maybe it's true. Maybe it's true, and it's just something that you didn't want to know about somebody or whatever. But like, I don't know. It's probably not true. I'm just gonna say.
You think it's not true?
I don't think it's true.
I don't know. I don't think people would volunteer this stuff sometimes.
I don't know.
What do you mean? I don't know. Why would they make that shit up? That's kind of, you could see that being a fetish, right? Or not a fetish necessarily, just
like
a thing.
Eye contact thing.
Yeah, like a really heavy eye contact, like really turns a woman on.
It occurs to me there are an awful lot of people out there now, like a decent percentage of the population, who have been in a pornographic film, even a homemade one, that is now available on the internet.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Because
actually.
I don't know about you guys, but it's not often you see the same girl in a porno. Like, there are definitely professional porn actresses. A lot of the time, it's like this huge cast of characters. There's like a million girls out there that have been in porn.
There is a staggering variety out there, that's for sure.
Hang on, no, I don't think that's the problem. I think more likely the fact that, how easy it is with things like video calling and WhatsApp. You know, if I'm on WhatsApp, doing like a video call with
my bitches.
Let's just suppose I am.
Yeah.
And it's an evening, and I'm like, oh, I've just got out of the bath. I might show a bit of skin. I think it's very easy, right, to do that.
This sounds like an excuse that you're laying the foundations for a forthcoming
sex
scandal
tape,
is coming out.
This stuff travels around. You don't know where it ends up, or where it's stored, or where it's been copied, or
your kids
anything.
are going to be on the internet one day.
Why
and
are
they're
you
gonna
exposing your genitals to like handheld devices? That's not something that's even remotely sensible to do. Like, it's going to come back and bite you in the ass at some point, for sure.
Because you have a lot of trust in people, especially romantically. You think you're in love with someone, especially when you're young, and you're
Yeah.
like, well, I'm going to trust this person implicitly. He's never going to leak. She's never going to show.
Just fuck them and have babies, like we've been doing for centuries. Like, what? Why do you have to take pictures of your fucking dick
I'm
and
not
your
even talking.
vagina?
I'm not even
and put them on the internet. Like,
I'm not even talking about people filming themselves. I mean, this is shit where there's like a cameraman, There's like two people having sex, and there's clearly a third person there with a camera.
Yeah, that's
so
pretty
they
fucked
know
up,
this
too.
is going to end up on the internet, because why the fuck is Steve filming this? If it's like he's filming it, and they're looking at, they're porning it up. They know that they're making porn, and there's a million people out there doing this. So my question is, first of all, how much money are they getting out of this? Like, genuinely.
You know what?
How much money can you get from porn? I know it's a huge driver of traffic on the internet, but how much do they get?
If you're out there and you're listening to this right now and you film porn, or you know people that film porn and make money off it, hit me up. I'm
we wanna
totally
know what's
interested.
up.
I want to
Get us
fucking
in on
know
it.
how this works, because
I did speak to a woman who was very close to actually have being in porn, like almost went down that path. Like, she knew people who had done it before. She knew she had like a friend who was like, oh, you should get on this. You just have to do this and this. They'll take you to this place. This is how it works. Here's like someone here's one of the videos of someone who's done it before. It's like one day. It's like a couple of £1,000s, and she was like, at that time, I didn't have a job, I didn't have any money, but I eventually ended up not doing it because I felt like it wasn't right for me at the time or whatever, and I was like, how that'll like follow you around your whole life. How would you? And she was like, well, when I was young, like when I was 18, it was just something that was an easy thing. I thought it was exciting. It was an opportunity. It was a lot of money. It was, there were all these reasons. And this person was really, really smart and kind of, clued up. And I was just very surprised that it could happen. And I think what that goes to show is that I think that it is very tempting in many ways, either as a thrill or as a kind of just a quick source of cash. Or or a thing that your friends are doing it and they have told you that it's safe and stuff, and so it's easy to end up just taking that step, going from, I guess, like modeling or whatever to that next step. I think it was like through a modeling agency or whatever. That was where the contacts came from.
Right.
It is a thing that I think can be a lot easier to get into than you guys realize, and I think that the other problem we have of sending nudes and stuff around is just so easy, because you've got you're young, you're in love, you've got someone that you trust like completely, and it's the evening, you're not wearing very many clothes because it's hot or whatever, and
right. I like how you're setting
like,
the scene. Like, it's almost like you have personal experience with this.
I have
going.
There's loads of nudes of me out there all over the place.
I'm almost finished.
You two are like, oh yeah, like really enjoy this.
God.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's weird. It's weird. I guess like I don't. When it comes to porn, like I haven't watched porn for 6 months now.
Wow.
Right. It was one of my New Year's. It was one of my New Year's resolutions. Right. I was like, I'm just not going to watch porn anymore. And I haven't, and I feel good about that.
Yeah?
It's been a good thing.
You feel wholesome?
No, I don't know. I think porn. Like, I read a thing about how porn is very bad for your brain.
Right.
It was like it's basically very. It's unnatural. Like, we're not supposed to be exposed to all this stuff.
Oh, this
and so
porn.
it's one of my New Year's resolutions was to try and
God, you
cut
believe
that.
anything you fucking read, don't you, Lewis? You read an article saying porn is bad for the brain. You're like, that's it. I'm giving it up. What if you read an article saying it was really good for your brain? Would you get back
on that wagon? Yeah, I would.
What if that became the new like health craze? Like, you can lose calories by watching porn, like copious amounts of porn.
I don't think you will. I personally, period. Look, we are human beings and we are swayed. If someone gives me a convincing argument to some point of view, then I'll be swayed to that until someone gives me a better one.
But that's like I'm bouncing
rational.
from pillar to post based on who's told you something lately.
I don't believe in stuff just willy-nilly. There wasn't a spiritual advisor who came to me and said, "Oh, Lewis, if you continue spunking your spirit into the ether, then you will never be happy." And I'll be like, "Oh, Mystic Meg, absolutely, I'll stop wanking it now." I didn't actually, I've been thinking about you naked every day, Mystic Meg, but now you've told me I've had a revelation. No, it's not like that. It was an actual thing that was convincing, and so I've felt better for it. I haven't. I spent a good 15 years of my life, watching every possible connotation.
Do you just use your imagination or something?
Well, listen.
The Stone Age?
We could talk about it more if you're interested.
No,
but
listen, I have,
needless to
before
say,
we leave though, I have another business idea, okay? I'm not afraid to share it with you guys because it's not something that I would ever consider investing in.
A business idea, right. So this is follow-up to the strip club and previous
strips.
things.
Yeah,
This one is also adult entertainment industry related, as most of my business ideas are. Okay, so this one, check this out, guys. It's a good one. I think if somebody did this, they could maybe make some money, or maybe it exists out there and I haven't seen it or whatever. Okay, so there's a website. My wife goes to this website all the time. It's called ASOS. So like as seen on stars.
Right.
So it's clothing that's sold through these fucking girl magazines, right? So Kim Kardashian is wearing a fucking, I don't know, whatever, some sort of fucking tank top or something, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, that is such a cute
get the tank
top!"
Yeah.
And so this website stocks it, and then while they're selling the tank top, they're like, "Kim Kardashian wore this a week ago. It's hot, girls. Come get your tank top." And that's how they sell fucking tons of shit on this website, right? Okay, it's crazy. So my wife uses it. She buys a bunch of stuff or whatever, and I'm sure fucking millions of women out there in the world do the same. So my idea is, instead of as seen on stars, we call the website as seen on porn. Okay.
Wow.
Right. So you get porns and you do product placement in the porns for dildos and fucking lingerie and shit like that. Okay. So you can watch the porn and be like, fuck, that dildo looks amazing. I would love to buy that dildo. And then beside the window that you're watching the porn, and it's like, do you want to buy this dildo? Or would you maybe like to buy this mankini that fucking Long Don Silver was wearing in this porn or whatever? So you have this whole thing. And then even further to that, okay, because if you're reusing porn that exists already for the product placement and selling people might start getting a bit you can't do this, okay? You can't make money off the back of my porn, okay? This is my porn. So we'd have to I say we. If you decide to go down this route for your business venture, you hire somebody who can film homemade porn for you so that you can put all the product placement in and stuff. And then you can have a premium subscription so that if you want to watch more videos sort of thing, you can pay for that and then buy a bunch of dildos and fucking butt plugs and beads or whatever.
So what you're going to do is you're going to have to watch a lot of porn, but figure out what's in the background. You're going to have to watch porn for the other stuff.
People are doing this shit anyway. They might as well just buy some shit off the back of it, If you're just going to sit around and watch 8 hours of porn a day, you might as well just fucking buy a dildo when you're done.
You're just going to film a couple having sex on a giant pile of Coca-Cola cans.
Yeah, well, we're talking stuff. Yeah, I don't think Coke would be up for that kind of advertising, but I'm saying, no. Maybe Turbo Dildo 5 million would be up for doing a promotional spot where you test out the product on a willing man or woman in the video, and then it helps sell them through the website sort of thing. So there you go.
Before I suck a cock, I like to clean my teeth with Aquafresh.
This is why I'm broke all the time, by the way. My business sense is terrible. I think it's a pretty good idea. I think it could work.
I think it's terrible.
I think that people out there are obsessed with porn and they would watch this stuff anyway, and then maybe they'd be tempted to buy stuff. You'd have to deliver the stuff in nondescript packaging and stuff, though, right?
I feel if you're going to try and do that right, you have to you have to pick kind of a quite kind of you're trying to I don't know.
But the problem with it is your range of stock is going to have to be so vast because there's so much porn. Or you're going to need to make sure that millions of people are watching specific movies that you make so that you can product place in them. And that's the impossibility of it.
I don't think that these are problems, though.
They are problems.
No.
If it's seen on Kim Kardashian, you know it's going to be widely seen by millions of
Yeah,
people.
but we're talking about free porn here, and
But
safe
how many views
porn
can
too.
that be? How many views?
Billions.
Millions.
It's not.
Oh,
It's not.
you don't know, Flax. You're a fool.
I do. You can see the view count
You're
underneath the
blind
movie.
fool.
You can see the view count. Even the really good ones have like 100K. It's not
That's
reaching
enough.
a big enough audience.
Oh, yeah, well, you say that, but if every one of those 100K bought a dildo, we'd be rich.
But they're not gonna.
Or you'd be rich if you decide to go ahead with this business venture. So it's not me.
Well,
I
okay.
can't do it. I got kids and a wife and stuff. They would
I've
be
got the
mortified.
same
Stop it.
shit. Get
Oh
Lewis
my
to do
god,
it.
you guys, let's just end this podcast right now. If you are listening, why don't you buy a Bodega t-shirt available and worn by members of the Triforce podcast?
I've had sex whilst wearing a Bodega
That's
t-shirt.
all we're wearing when we have sex with each other. Just a Bodega T-shirt. It's disgusting.
That's right. And you can look as good as us in that. And that does support the podcast. So thank you very much, everyone. We're done for this week. It's been a bit of a meandering one as
Mad.
usual. We bounce from topic to topic.
Hey, Flax, just before we
insanely.
go, I heard the birds in the background when you were talking at one point.
Oh,
so
yeah?
I think the bird
Sweet.
feeder works.
Good job.
Holy shit. Well, listen, we'll see you next time, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.